Have you ever really stopped to think about your digital life? You know, all those photos, the music, the messages, all the memories we've been uploading for years now? It feels so permanent, right? Like we've built this digital version of ourselves that's just gonna be there forever. But what if that's all just an illusion? Turns out, our digital world is way more fragile than any of us think. And this simple, kind of heartbreaking comment from a Reddit user just gets right to the heart of it. That sudden gut punch of a realization that something you thought was totally safe, totally permanent online has just vanished. This isn't some theoretical problem. It's a real story of digital loss. So let's start right there, with that feeling of permanence. We've all been kind of conditioned to believe that once something is on the internet, it is there for good. We treat our digital footprint like it's been carved in stone. And this, right here, is the central mistake we all make. See, we feel like our online memories are a stone monument, solid, enduring, totally timeless. But the reality, well, it's a lot more like a sandcastle. It's beautiful, it's complex, sure, but it's also incredibly fragile, built on shifting sands, and totally vulnerable to the next high tide.
And sometimes that tide comes in with some serious force, wiping out not just one sandcastle, but millions of them all at once. A few years ago, a massive tide came in and just shattered this illusion of forever for an entire generation.
I mean, for anyone who came of age in the early 2000s, MySpace wasn't just another social network. It was a cultural hub, especially for music. It was the launchpad for countless artists and honestly, the soundtrack to millions of teenage lives. But then in 2018, a catastrophe happened.
50 million! During a server migration, MySpace accidentally and permanently deleted 50 million music tracks. We're talking 12 years of a generation's culture uploaded between 2003 and 2015, just gone. It was like a digital extinction event.
In this comment, man, it captures the human side of that loss perfectly. This wasn't just about data, it was about our personal histories. It was the very first songs your band ever recorded, the soundtrack to your high school dances, a whole chunk of our collective cultural memory, just erased.
The MySpace tragedy was a huge, dramatic example. But the truth is, the entire digital world is in this constant state of decay. And it's not just about catastrophic server failures. It's about these slow, creeping problems that are eroding our digital foundations every single day. So let's start with a term you've absolutely experienced, even if you didn't know its name: link rot. Every single time you click a link and you get that 404 page not found error, you've just witnessed it. The web is constantly changing, and the pathways to information are just constantly breaking down.
And the scale of this problem is, well, it's staggering. Studies show the average lifespan of a web page is, at best, around 100 days. Think about that. Even in formal academic scholarship where citations are absolutely crucial, 1 in 5 articles contains links that just don't work anymore. Our web of knowledge is literally fraying at the edges.
But it gets worse. It's not just the links that break. The files themselves can become these useless ghosts. It's called format obsolescence. The file might be perfectly preserved, but if you don't have the right software or hardware to open it, it's just a collection of unreadable ones and zeros.
So the crucial point here is this: the very progress of technology, the constant updates and new versions of software we use every day, is actually one of the biggest threats to our digital past. Today's cutting-edge program is tomorrow's digital dead end.
Just think about the simple floppy disk. It was everywhere just a couple of decades ago. Today, finding a computer with a drive for one is a real challenge. The data on it might be perfectly fine, but it's effectively trapped in a dead format. So, is it all hopeless? Are we just doomed to lose our digital history? Well, not if a dedicated group of digital architects and archivists have anything to say about it. They are in a constant battle to reinforce our digital sandcastles.
Institutions like the U.S. National Archives and Records Administration, or NARA, are on the front lines. Their entire mission is to preserve the government's vast digital records, our national experience for generations to come, protecting them from these exact threats.
And they do it with this really meticulous, proactive process. They don't just store files, they actively manage them. They identify which file formats are becoming obsolete, they use complex checksums to make sure not a single bit has been corrupted, they monitor the tech world for new threats, and, this is crucial, they transform and migrate files to new stable formats before the old ones die out. Okay, so this is all fascinating on a national scale, but what about us? What about our own sandcastles? Well, the good news is we can learn from these professionals and actually take steps to protect our own digital lives.
And we don't have to do it all alone. Services like permanent.org are popping up with a mission that's specifically focused on personal digital preservation. They apply those same archival principles, like migrating your files to new formats over time, to your personal photos, your documents, and your memories.
But you know, whether you use a service or you do it yourself, the key here is to shift your mindset. We have to move from passive storage to active preservation. You can become the steward of your own digital legacy. So here are some things you can do right now. First, organize your files. Have backups in more than one place, maybe one physical drive and one in the cloud. Choose stable, open formats, like PDF-A for documents and TIFF for master copies of your photos. And be proactive about converting old files. And hey, don't forget the original backup, actually printing your absolute favorite photos. A physical print on good paper can outlast any hard drive. So maybe the best way to think about it is this. We need to stop seeing our digital lives as some monument we build once and just leave forever. It's actually much more like a living garden. It needs to be organized, it needs to be weeded, and it needs to be cared for if we want it to survive and flourish for years to come. Because at the end of the day, the bits and bytes we leave behind, they're going to form a kind of digital ghost, an echo of our time here. And what we choose to preserve, how we tend to our own digital garden, that's what's going to determine the story that ghost tells to future generations or whether it can tell a story at all.